So in this video, I just kind of want to give just a quick update. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of stuff in sales. I've been doing a lot of stuff in cold DMs and cold calling, sales prospecting, and I've been learning a lot in the process. So I just kind of want to share some of the real life documentary stories just from my life over the last couple months, basically. And so in this video, I'm really just gonna rank some of the cold calling responses that I've gotten from from worst to best. So let's begin with probably the two of the worst cold call responses I've gotten, and I think the first one I think I've actually gotten multiple times, like at least two times, right? I think if I recall correctly. But that response was basically like, no, we don't need this. Please take us off your list or something like that. And it might have been with a please, or potentially worse with no, please just and take us off your list. you know and that was just so funny for me. Like, I'm cold calling, and I'm like, yeah, this is I'm calling to promote. I don't even know what I was promoting at the time. I promoted a whole bunch of products and things like that, right? um, and you get that response, like, you it's almost like you're getting kicked out of the in door knocking, you might be getting kicked out of the yard, right? And in this case, take us off the list. um, and I guess it's not even the words, right? It's more so just how how somebody says the words that can turn that into a really bad cold call response. So that was bad. And another one pretty close to that was, I think this guy that I kind of called, I got no idea what kind of company it was now. Like, I forget whether it was like a tracking company or what kind of establishment was that. Anyhow, he was just kind of like, I think, like a little bit pissed off, and he was like, we don't really do the kind of thing around here. Or something like that. And and in a way, you could almost say like he was kind of trying to mock me. But I just kind of got off the call and kind of went off on my way. And you're gonna have those, but I think that was probably slightly better than the ones where I got people kind of almost shouting to be taken off, for me to take him off uh, our list, so that they wouldn't get caught again. And when that happens, you kind of know it's a bad situation. You just gotta deal with it as best as you can, and hopefully it teaches you a lot about about cold calling and conflict resolution, and how to handle angry people right on the cold call. Now, in all honesty, these are not the absolute worst cold call responses that anybody could get. Like, I've listened to the stories of people cold calling or door knocking, and there have been guys that have literally shared, like some of the people I follow, and they're like, oh, we were getting guns pulled on us. Like the guys at the door knocking, somebody's coming out the house with a gun and potentially pointing ready to shoot, right? So that's just a much worse kind of response. So in the grand scheme of cold calling and door knocking, these responses, my own worst responses, pretty much are nothing. Now I hope or expect that over the years, as I keep on cold calling, hopefully I'm gonna get much worse responses in the bag, right? Because my worst responses so far, these are literally my worst, and they haven't been that bad. Uh, Now you might think that means that that's great. Hey, I've had it easy, and that's actually the problem, because it indicates I haven't cold called for long enough. Like if I had cold called for say 5 years, I would have a lot worse stories, and I'd have a lot more money as well, because the more you cold call, eventually just the more money you're gonna make. So if you don't actually have the horror stories, you also don't have the big bucks. So hopefully I I can make it all the way into the into the top echelons of the league, where I got some real stories that would spin your head. um, so that's just a couple of the code core responses I've had, and some of the best ones. Now let's go up to kind of ranking the mid-level code calls responses have been just kind of like, normal conversations, like, oh, okay, and a lot of these have actually been with gatekeepers. So with gatekeepers, that's kind of where you're gonna have a lot of conversations that are in the middle, because these people know that they don't have the authority or the money to buy anything from you, that you're not gonna take their money, because they literally don't have any money to give, because the company doesn't put any budgetary responsibility on them. So I guess they don't feel a lot of sales pressure, so they're actually gonna treat you in a lot of cases really well. uh, but it also means you're not making any kind of sales. So in terms of cold call responses, those are gonna be kind of in the middle or neutral, because they're not chewing you out, but they're also not welcoming your sale. Right? Like, oh, dude, that's exactly what I need. How much does it cost? Oh, it seems like they're not gonna do. So it's not gonna be on the high end of the really great corporate responses. It's just gonna be like, oh yeah, you want to talk with the human resources manager, or that sounds like something that Bill would handle, or that's something that Tim would handle, and they say, okay, let me put you. So it's kind of like neutral, like they're welcoming you, they're friendly, they're professional. So with gatekeepers, typically that's where you're gonna get those responses that I've had that are just kind of in the middle. And that's good, because it also shows you like cold calling people. This is just human. They're just treating you like any other person. They're just other people out there. And so once you've cold called for a while, you're gonna have a lot of those interactions. And that's also some of the stuff that really makes you not afraid of cold calling, because you realize like it's just like going outside and getting on the bus. It's just a normal human experience. It's just that you have to make a little bit of effort. And it's actually safer than going on the bus, because if you go on the bus might get into an accident and slam into a wall or something. And when you're cold calling, that kind of stuff doesn't happen, right? um, so those are the kind of cold call responses that are in the middle. And then the very best cold calling responses I've had is where people are kind of super interested in something that I'm selling. Like when I've cold called, and maybe I got a lady at a cleaning company and who was kind of interested in uh, some of the services I was promoting and selling, like lead generation services for a cleaning company, and somebody's super interested, and maybe they started speaking to me in Spanish, but in a very friendly way. And man, I had to actually try to pull out some Spanish that I don't really practice Spanish, right? Like I've probably mentioned in some of my videos, at the moment the language I'm learning is the Greek language. Um, but here somebody's talking to me in Spanish, and I have to scramble for some Spanish, because they're being really nice, but I'm trying to figure out how do I say that again, you know. Or where they're speaking in English, and they're really nice and they are welcoming towards what you're doing. Or they say, oh, interest, how much does that cost? So typically when you hear that kind of thing on a cold call, or how does that work, those are signs of interest, and those tend to have been, in my experience, the best cold call responses, where somebody is interested and is welcoming towards what you're doing. And it's really the opposite of the other end of the spectrum, the worst cold call responses, where people are disinterested and they're angry about it, and they don't welcome you being there, and you trying to start this conversation. So that's my experiences and my adventures. As you can see, it's quite a mixed bag with the good, the bad, and the ugly. There you go.